back at it. I think my last one just froze, so we're trying again. But I was getting to do it, I think, for my fitness goals for this year. I would love to do another race. I'm getting married this year, so that might be tough with how much I have planned. I'm in 2 other weddings as well. So I think that might be a lot, but we're going to try to do it. I'd like to maybe do it in the winter. There's a 50 miler in Kentucky I was looking at. So maybe something on that front. I'd love to start doing more lives. I think that's another big goal I have. And it'd be fun to start engaging with the community and talking about more things I like, doing stuff like that. I think one cool thing would be doing it in real life, IRL. Like, I'd love to go to a baseball game or something like that. I started making content because I felt like it was such a great way to grow my personal brand. And I think your personal brand is so important, especially today in the world of AI. And being in private equity, and it's something in being in private equity and always looking for deals and always looking to meet people, I think it's been something that I thought it would be a great way to, it's free marketing for yourself. And then I also wanted to have a way to document and record my life on a daily basis so I can look back and look at my memories, see how I've grown, see how I've changed. And I think that also the coolest part about it is having some public accountability. So knowing you're posting every day, knowing you have to be on, it forces you to be almost a showman, and showmanship is salesmanship at the end of the day. So I think it's been really cool in that sense to really start posting. And I've gotten a lot of positive reaction from it. A lot of people who I haven't talked to in years reached out. They've DM'd me, and we've had great conversation follow-ups, and I've reconnected old bonds I never thought I would have in the past. And then my fiance also makes content, and I was like, I might as well get started. And something I've wanted to do for a long time. I just always think I was worried about what other people would say. And once I kind of gave up on that notion and got over that fact, it made it so much easier to just start posting every day. And since then, like I said, it's been one of the best decisions I've made. I don't regret it at all. I have only gotten positive benefits from it. It's people like what you post. It's educational, whatever you're doing, whatever your niche is, whatever you want to post about. I think there's so many different avenues. And also, what I also like, it's kind of a creative outlet for me. It's allowed me to do things, instead of just looking at spreadsheets all day, to have something creative where I can, think about how do I want to portray this in terms of, what's my hook? What's my editing style? How do I want to be seen for myself? And you can almost build your persona on a day-to-day basis on how you're filming, how you're editing, and what you want to focus on in your life. And that can be your content. I really think it makes you narrow down of who you are, understand who you are, how you spend your time, what you're doing, in a way I never thought I would have understood before doing content, if that makes sense. So it's been great. I've loved it. Yeah, it was extremely scary to start, Stephen. Like, crazy to start. I had first couple I was posting, not looking at the post button and pressing it, and then I wouldn't look at anything. And you're not going to get a lot of views starting. And I think for me, starting out, I didn't get a ton of views, and that's okay, because I knew I was starting. I knew it was going to suck. My videos probably still do suck. But even in the first month, it's been almost about 2 months of me posting, I have noticed a massive increase of me getting better. And I had no experience with this in the past. I had no real idea or direction of what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to start posting and start going. And I'm still scared to post. I mean, this live, like, going into it, I'm like nervous. I have butterflies in my stomach to hit the start button. So I think if you're not having that feeling of nerves or anxiety, I don't think you're pushing yourself hard enough. And that's something I've always believed and I've always thought about. And so starting today with the live, I was like, it's the first opportunity, first day I had, just got to 50 subscribers, which is the minimum you need to start doing lives. And so I felt, why not fucking send it? Might as well. It's going to be a journey. And obviously I only have one person on here, Steven, who's my buddy from college. And we have one person on here, but it's all right. So it's all good. And then you just got to keep going. I think the consistency and the volume, the quality and the volume, and just doing it every day. You always suck when you start out. So the more reps I can do, the better I'll get, the faster I'll get. So in my mind, it's just about doing it more and more and more. And especially talking in front of camera, I think that's something you need to get used to. It's almost like public speaking, but for some reason, the people behind the camera who you're talking to, it's like you put up this thing and you can change your tone and it makes it awkward, but in reality, it shouldn't, right? Because it's your day to day. If you were filming yourself candidly, you wouldn't change anything. And so that's what I've been trying to work on is, be my authentic self. And I think that's what people would like. What have you learned from making content? Is there negative connotations? I think there are some negative connotations, but I think the only negative connotations come from people, one, making bad content or inappropriate content, but two, it's people's own insecurities wishing they had the confidence to put themselves out there. And everyone I know that posts and is like, I just love posting. I'm going to post about my life. They don't really care what other people think. And in my mind, I always admired those people. And I think there's a resentment when you don't have something that everyone has, you're comparing, right? You see these people online who are producing this content and you're like, not that you want it to be me, but you don't like it. There's an opinion. There's always an opinion. And that negative connotation, I think, comes from people's more internal pain rather than what you're doing yourself. And I think what I've learned a lot about making content is I've learned a lot about myself. One, you hear yourself talk, you hear how you act, you see yourself, you're filming yourself. Like when I was playing sports, you had film on yourself of how you pitched, how you looked. Football, you always watch film of the games and how everything's going. And when you're filming yourself in day-to-day life, you get that same feedback. You get almost a neutral party. So there's things that I do where I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know I did that until I started filming myself on a day-to-day. And once you do that, you can either decide, oh, I want to change that, or that's just who I am. I'm not going to change that. I'm going to accept that. And it's so weird to think about, like, oh my God, sit up straight, like just noticing dumb stuff like that. But it makes a big impact on my day-to-day because when I think about filming it, I think about, oh, people are going to see this. I think about, I'm going to see this. I'm going to have to rewatch it, where you can almost kind of shut that off and your perception of yourself really changes once you start filming yourself on a day-to-day basis, which is cool. I did not edit anything beforehand. I did no editing any of my videos. I've just been learning that as I've been going, which has been a process. I've gotten a lot better with certain editing techniques, but like cutting out the dead space, the filler, trying to make it a video engaging with the hooks, doing everything like that has been a steep learning process, but I'm only going to learn it by making more videos. And it was never something I really did. I didn't have much of a creative outlet before this, and I'm very thankful I do now. But yeah, it was something totally new to me, and there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Like you can do it on your phone with Instagram edits, or you can do it via like your computer, CapCut, and make all those different edits kind of for what video you're trying to do. And especially if you're doing long form versus short form, so shorts versus horizontal long video, the way you edit any of those videos is completely different. So I have been trying to get so much better at it. And YouTube U, I watched so many videos on trying to figure out how to make good videos. And there's so much information. If you're thinking about starting, the easiest way to do it is just watch what other people are doing and try to copy their videos, copy their hooks, because success is going to leave clues. People are going to show you what works, what doesn't. And so trying to model a lot of your videos after that, I think, is the best way to do it. Yeah, it can be weird talking to the camera. Especially if you're talking by yourself like I am right now. This is a little better because Stephen is sending questions, right? But if you're just walking around talking by yourself, it can feel awkward. Um, it can feel pretty awkward and just not know, who you're talking to, what you're talking about, and you're trying to do that on a daily basis. It can get a little parasocial in a sense. But you start getting used to it. You start understanding, there are people behind that camera. There are people behind the videos. Each like, each click is a person who liked and watched your video. Each view is that. So I think getting used to that thought and that theory helped me kind of get over that hump of just talking to a little rectangle, or even a camera. So it was weird at the start, but I think that was one of the first things I got over as I started to make content more consistently. But it's been a tough sled for sure. And I don't think, maybe if I'm out and about, I've also been doing this like at the safety of my house. And so I feel a lot more comfortable doing it. Where if I was maybe out in public, I don't know if I would feel that same comfortability that some people I know do, where they just don't care. They'll film out in public, they'll do whatever they want and accept it. And it's still new for me, so I don't feel as comfortable in public doing it. But I think as the more I do it, the more reps I get, the easier it will be to do. What else am I interested? Well, I grew up playing baseball. I played baseball in college, and I think I still love baseball. I just crushed a lot of the World Baseball Classic and all those games. And I could not believe how those finals went with Venezuela beating the United States. I mean, I wish I was in Caracas for the final. It looked like they just won the World Cup. It was a massive party. All these people were amazing, just dancing in the streets. And these guys from Venezuela, you could tell they cared so much. They were crying. It was a big deal for them. I think a lot more than the guys in, I don't want to say that. I think the guys in the USA uniform cared a lot. But the guys from Venezuela were not expected to win. They had to go through so many games. They beat Japan. They beat the US, arguably the two best teams in the tournament, to go and win the tournament. So I've been watching a lot of baseball recently and getting back into it. I think I stopped after I stopped playing because I don't know if I need to take a break or I needed to separate myself from it. But once I was able to kind of get some distance from it and have a better relationship, now I'm back in it. I love it. I'm watching again. It's so fun to watch. I missed the game. And then I'm also kind of what I was talking about before, into my health, wellness, cooking. Why did I need distance? I blew out my shoulder my junior year of college, and I always thought always thought I was a decent pitcher, and I thought I had potential, and my dream was to play in the big leagues. And I felt like the game was taken away from me, but in reality, the game doesn't owe you anything. I thought I had resent towards everything that had happened and what had gone on, but it's so out of my control. And I'm so thankful for it now in hindsight, because I think I had started to lose the love for it, but I don't know if that's for certain reasons. Like I was hurt or I wasn't in my best mental state, which I think is a large part of it. And getting some distance and like not watching baseball for years and not playing, and then finally coming back to it with a better mental state and a reflection of, these people I played with. I missed the locker room so much. I missed the guys so much. And I miss just being out there every day. And it was such a season of my life, no pun intended, that is so magical for what it is. And I think I took it for granted playing when I was in it. But now that I'm out of it and I'm coming back to it, it's something that I almost wish I cherished a bit more. Because as much as the game took from me, or felt like it took from me, it gave me so much at the same time. It gave me so many life lessons. It gave me so many amazing people in my life who I would never have been connected without baseball. And so I think with a lot of introspection, not a lot of introspection, but a lot of reflection, I was able to kind of get some perspective on how amazing the sport can be and how positive it was in my life rather than just how much I thought it took from me. Because I think for a lot of athletes, especially now, I think it took me a couple years to find my identity because for a lot of my life, it was just baseball. It was the only thing I did. I woke up, first thing I thought about to the last thing I thought about going to bed was just baseball. And so when you do that for 20 years of your life and then all of a sudden it's gone one day and you have no idea what to do next, there's such an identity crisis where you're like, who am I as a person, as a human being? Because for a long time I thought my gravestone would say Alec Olmstead, baseball player, right? But when you realize that's not what it's going to say when you end up dying, right? It's not going to be like, oh, this guy was a great baseball player. That was over. That was my reality had completely changed. And so I had to figure out who I was as a person, as an individual, as a son, as a friend, as, a future husband, and how I wanted to spend my time and the rest of my time. Because for a long time, it was just throwing a little white ball around. And I think that distance also gave me that, where I had to do a little soul searching and figure out what I really like, what I enjoy doing, and who I want to be around and how I want to kind of live my life. I didn't have a lot of other interests, I did school, I did baseball, and that was about it. I had other interests, but I don't think I pursued them hard enough when I was playing. I think I struggled to take action on those stuff where I was just so overly consumed with baseball. And I have a buddy who's a mental performance coach now, and he's amazing. His name's Drake Davis. But he always had a quote. It's like, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword, right? And if you live by and I used to live and die by my results in baseball. If I had a bad day, it's like my identity, like, had a bad day. It's like my whole life was bad. It would affect everything I was doing. And I think that compounded on itself, where I wish I had more interest in things I was doing outside of baseball that allowed me to disconnect from the result of my identity. So if I wasn't pitching well, my identity wasn't well. And so I think that was one of my bigger issues while playing. I didn't have that disconnection between the two, where it was so much focused on baseball and I cared so much about the result rather than maybe the process. Cliche, but that it would crush me when I wouldn't pitch well or I wouldn't have a good game. And I think that was the biggest thing that made me lose the love for the game, was how much it would devastate, or it would just kill me. I'd feel so bad because I didn't perform to what I know I could do, and I just wouldn't play well. And so distance helped kind of recover from that. And I guess it came after. So once I got some separation, I had to it forced me to figure out what I like to do outside of baseball, which is finance, business, making content, traveling. I love to travel, but I haven't been able to do it as much as I like. I love kind of working on businesses, working with teams. I think that's one thing baseball instilled with me, is being a part of a team and working with a team. So trying to figure out how to do more of that, and then competing, and then solving problems. I love puzzles. I've always been kind of a dork and a nerd in that way, where I love trying to look at big number sets and narrow them down and solve puzzles that I don't think other people can, and I think I can do a better job of it than a lot of people. So I think for me, it's trying to find hidden gems within the haystack. Needles in a haystack, trying to make things happen from dire positions, or making lemons out of lemonade. So that's what I've been really interested in now, trying to figure out who I am as a person.
But me in chess.
What?
I said beating me in chess.
Yeah. Beating my fiance in chess for sure. But I think I'm going to wrap it up 20 minutes in, first stream. It's been a blast. Thank you for watching and joining. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to try to start making this a daily or as much as I can occurrence, and we'll keep going. Follow along for the journey.